his height. I'm gonna be his height. Good job. Good job. See? I want to turn on some lights.
So we're committed to making sure that we have a great picture. And I'm going to say, parents, what do you think? It's too dark up there.
Too dark.
Let's bring these babies down to the front over here. It's too dark. I'm sorry, board members, I have to come down.
Go down the stairs and around the table.
Let's go downstairs.
We're going to go down. I apologize to carry this trophy up and down.
I know I don't make it that way.
Right through here. Oh, I'm sorry. You have a suggestion? Kids, what is your suggestion? Yeah, right over here, right? Yeah. No, kids, so we should actually begin with. What do we think? Because some of them change. You know what time it is. Okay, graduation. That's what we begin with.
No, I can step in the back.
Is that better, parents? That's right.
We have to give it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, we have to come all the way over there.
Someone has to send me a picture. Your mommy will? Kids, I'll pick up yours, please. There you go. Dad, you see that face? We're good? Warm? Thank you. Wait, I think there's one more. Look toward Dr. Boone.
Everyone look to me. Your left, your left. Right. Look at the front, look at the front. Look at the front.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Perfect. Thank you.
My makeup is melting. All right. So we've got the academics down pat. And parents, please stay. We are going to have a budget presentation. And so we definitely want your support in hearing the district's initiatives for next year. So don't leave. I do want to acknowledge the athletics, and I always talk about the AAA, right? We're a district that's focused on not just academics, which we just demonstrated, but also the art, which you saw in the larger auditorium, but also the athletics, right? So we're so proud of students who participated in wrestling this year. Our wrestling team said to me, Dr. Chase, we want you to come by to see us. I walked in the gymnasium and they were so engaged and so preparing for what you're about to hear today. We finished third in the 160-pound division and earned all county honors because Kenson Gervais is that man. He's that guy. He is that guy. He advanced to wrestling tournament in Albany, New York on February 24th and February 25th. Kenson, please come up and be honored for your hard work, for your commitment, for your athleticism. Hey, we're going to make it, Kenson. You're going to do this, and you're going to come around here, right? We know how to improvise. So one thing about this district, and you're such a rock star, Kenson, that the Board of Education said we want to sit in the front row to make sure we take a picture with the wrestlers. So you stay right here with me, Kenson, wearing that nice track suit. That looks good. Angel Flores. Angel, stand up while I just read your accolades, please. Better yet, make your way down. It's going to be a little puzzle. Angel Flores finished fourth in the 189-pound division and earned all county honors. One of ours. So behind every fantastic student athlete are fantastic, dedicated coaches. So we ask the coaches to please come forward and be recognized for your commitment to our scholar athletes. Is Doric around? Oh, Mr. Praxis, come on down. Nice job, Angel. I would ask you guys to demonstrate some moves. But you're going to need a subject, so Mr. Ewan is willing to just see something if you're willing to demonstrate. He said he knows how to do it. Oh. I would love for Mr. Troiano to be. You have no idea how much I would love that. Gentlemen, thank you for your hard work. Thank you for your dedication and commitment. We appreciate you for all that you do. Mr. Capsis, I'm going to give the microphone to you. If you can just speak a little bit about these fantastic coaches and the team itself.
It's my 20th year in Westbury. This is the most dedicated 4 coaches I have. Well, they're committed to their sport year-round, and I want to turn it over to Coach Charles to talk a little bit more about our two successful all-county wrestlers, and Coach, if you would also let the audience know what we have in store with Freddie and okay.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. Thank you to the board. Appreciate it. We're taking time out of this busy schedule. I know you got a lot of work to do, but we really appreciate you taking time out to honor these young men here. I brought my 4 coaches. I just want to introduce them first to you. Coach Joe Simeone, also Westbury graduate. We added a new addition this year, Coach John Nuzzi. On the far end, Coach Stephen Vidal, Freddie Vidal, also a Westbury graduate. That's it. All right. These young men, just want to tell you real quick, we had an outstanding season. We made it to the playoffs this year. We lost in the first round by one match, but we'll get there again next year. We had 7 all-conference wrestlers, okay, and now 2 all-county, and one-state qualifier. The hard work and dedication, making weight and being in practice. These gentlemen are here sometimes like 6 in the morning. They don't get home until like 10:30 at night, and they wrestling all day. And the dedication they put in and the hard work they put in to keep their studies up and to be at practice every day and be role models, not only in the room but in the classroom and in the hallways. And also, when they walk around, I told them they had wearing our faces on them. So the other kids see them, they see us. And they represent us well this year. And thank you so much. When you came to walk past, okay, just a quick story. We were in practice, and there was a knock on the door. And I came to the door, and Mr. Warren was leading, and it was the board, okay, and our superintendent, Dr. Dupree Chase. And she came and spoke to the whole team, and they just loved it. You just showing up and showing that you care, and you just showed that it's more to you than just coming in and just doing what you got to do, but putting the hard work and dedication in, it meant a lot to the boys. And it also meant a lot to us as well. So thank you.
All right, gentlemen, this is your paparazzi moment. So I'm sure people want to take pictures. I know my board is anxious to take pictures with rock star wrestlers. So, and then you. All right. That would be great. Yeah, Root, we're ready. Let's go. Miss Jermaine, please don't leave. I'm appreciative of you guys. Did you? All worth it though. All good. Yeah.
Installing a youth program here for Westbury.
I heard about it. Dory told me about all the great things that are happening, starting them young. I heard. I love it. I love it. You have my support on that. You know that, right? Thank you. Thank you, Dory. Thank you. Congratulations. Good job. I know, he told me. Yeah. I see that. Because that drag you. Okay. It's not so violent. It's not so violent. Well, what? So you don't want to use our drag? We can't. Because it's not It's a new dragon. We have one more commendation. And, you know, when we were talking about the spelling bee, I made a mistake by not acknowledging the other administrators in the room who were very instrumental in implementing bees in their building, cheering the students on, identifying the coaches. So I apologize, and Ms. Jermaine, the reason why I said don't leave is because I need to give you a shout out. And we're twinning today. We're twinning. Royal blue is the color. And I had to give you a shout out because, you know, Powell showed up and showed out at the spelling bee. I mean, you had champions, and so I really appreciate you. I appreciate seeing Ms. Barnett from Park here. Thank you for all that you're doing. Dr. Kenton, thank you for, you know, just And Park was another school that did extremely well at the spelling bee. I see Antoinette Campbell. We thank you as our literacy leader of the school district. And again, like I said, I apologize, guys. I really do. Our spelling bee pronouncer, pronouncing at the spelling bee is high pressure. Ms. Sabinski and Mr. Gallivan did an amazing job at making kids feel great, making them feel special, reassuring them. And you did just that by asking, sure, you can take your time. Ask as many questions as you like. Ask as many times as you like. Both you and Ms. Sabinski did a fantastic job, and you're both appreciated. You're welcome. Any other educators in the room who were part of the spelling bee and helping? Yes, yep. From Dryden? Okay. Is Mr. Troy Freed here? Okay. Although he isn't here, Mr. Freed was recently elected to the board of directors for CEED, which is an acronym for the Center of Environmental Education and Discovery. Mr. Freed has been a volunteer with SEED, and his son is a member of their Wave Makers Environmental Group for a few years. His family has been involved with multiple events, including a Maker Fair in Port Washington. Mr. Freed will be bringing his experience as a teacher and department chair to SEED to grow, that's cute, to grow the program and increase outreach to local schools. Congratulations, Mr. Freed. Mr. Freed is at Westbury Middle School. And I guess I can understand why he isn't here this evening. He's probably preparing for remote learning in the morning. But we congratulate you and we honor you. Mr. President, that is it for commendations this evening.
Okay, we are now going to move back to the regular order of our agenda, which would take us back to item 1C. I ask for a motion to approve the minutes of February 28th.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Dickerson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Keynes. Ayes. Trustee Quintanilla?
Aye.
Trustee Dr. Dickerson?
Aye.
Trustee Keynes?
Aye.
Trustee Bowling?
Aye.
Vice President Ewing?
Aye.
And I, Robert Troiano, vote aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Just want to make a correction. The second was Robin Bowling.
Oh, what did I say?
Keynes.
Oh, his voice was sounding a little high-pitched. Okay, thank you for that correction. Now I'm going to turn it back to Dr. Chase for a presentation on the on draft 2 of the budget. There will be yet a third presentation of draft 3 before we actually have our budget hearing later this year. Dr. Chase?
So the dates are combining. I'm sorry. When did we present draft 1? February 28th? So on February 28th, we presented draft 1. And when we finished presenting draft 1, we said to the community, we're going to go back and talk to our Board of Education. We want to hear from the community. We provided an email address so that community members can submit questions, recommendations, or to even get clarification. And so after having a very lengthy but very productive meeting with our Board of Education, we are proud to present draft number 2. And the Board of Education had an opportunity to share items in which they'd like to see in the budget. And so with our team, We went back to our schools, to our school administrators. We made some modifications to the budget presentation, and so we present to you this evening draft number 2. So Neil, ready? I'm so sorry. I could fit once you go in. I'm so sorry. Board members, if you'd like, you can sit in the front row, or if you're fine there, you go ahead. So draft number 2 took into account every member of the Westbury school community. And oftentimes when we refer to the school community, many people might think just the staff, the faculty, and the scholars. But the school community is that extended community that plays such a major role in the effectiveness of our schools. Therefore, we've titled budget number 2, It Takes a Village to Raise a 21st Century Scholar. We're going to be doing some work this year with an organization called 21st Century STEM that will allow us to work with global schools who have implemented STEM education effectively. And I cannot wait to bring that back to our school district. And part of that work is looking at what does it take to prepare scholars for 21st century opportunities. And what we believe is that this budget does just that. Prepare Westbury scholars for opportunities in which do not exist as we're speaking right now. So, what does it take to raise a 21st century scholar? We kept equity because we want to make sure that every scholar in this district gets what he or she needs. What I need is what our Saturday program is titled. We call it Saturday Wins. And so it's important to us that every child has the resources that he or she needs. So, I'll give you, for instance, if Miss Barnett needs something, but Miss Buffalino may not have the same need, but she has a different need, but the end outcome is the same, we're going to do all that we have to do to prioritize the needs of those two individuals. That's what equity looks like. As you heard a couple of weeks ago, we are undergoing an equity audit. We are super excited about the results because we know this is not punitive in nature. But what it will do, it will help us to better prepare our 21st century scholar. Excellence. We are committed to excellence in programming, excellence in education. I am excited about some of the instructional initiatives that I will be sharing with you shortly. I'm also excited to maintain the programs that are working extremely well. We talked earlier about our kindergartners using the Foundations program. Our Foundations program to sound out words as they were spelling at the spelling bee. That means that the programs we have in place are working. Just today I was speaking to our kindergarten principal, and she said, I see Foundations working beautifully at our school. And Ms. Zizzo, who has a fantastic kindergarten class, uses Foundations. I've watched her in action, and the kids are just really grasping well. So excellence in education simply means bringing in world-class programs, bringing in programs of rigor, challenging students to their full potential, and giving everybody an opportunity to be successful, no matter what your ability is. Empowerment. We want to give our scholars a voice. We want to give our community a voice. We want our parents to work side by side with us. That's what it means to build a 21st century scholar. And we believe with every fiber of our being that this budget does just that, Mrs. Keynes. It's going to empower our families to be better partners. It's going to empower our parents to speak up. We're going to empower our parents to be partners in helping to educate our children, and that they also will have a role in some decision making in the school district. So Ms. O'Neill is going to give, oh, you want me to take that? So this budget is special because it's a budget that I believe is quite unique. It is unique in that we, after working with our dedicated Board of Education, will decrease the tax levy $2 million. That is a tremendous benefit to our community. It takes a village to raise a 21st century scholar. $13 million in instructional programs. It takes a village. And $8.6 million in support services. Go. I know. So, this morning, you know, every morning I get the newspaper brought to my office on my desk. I always take the time to look at the front page, and I kind of just go through the newspaper. This morning, this front page caught my eye of Newsday. Average 2.2% increase in school taxes. Well, let me tell you a little story about Greenberg. Westbury. Whew, sorry, guys. That was a Freudian slip. Let me tell you a little story about Westbury. They said it takes 2 years to get it out of your system. I'm not there yet. Let me tell you a little story about Westbury School District. Well, Westbury School District is so committed to its community and committed to delivering on a promise that for as long as we have an increase in aid, that the community will see a return of their hard work. Before I arrived, you guys fought like heck to restore foundation aid, to ensure that you get what you want. And this Board of Education made a commitment to you. And they said, for as long as we see an increase, and I want you to know this increase is going to run out, but they're committed to giving back to the community for your hard work, for your patience, and for your perseverance. So for the third year in a row, the community will see a tax reduction. Want to speak to it? Chart?
The tax,
It's on.
okay, can everybody hear me? So from 2021 to the current, or to the projected year of 23-24, you're seeing a 5.64% tax levy decrease. Overall, the proposed budget,
Just talk about the decrease over the time, because I really want to show that illustration.
glasses on. So in 2021, your tax levy was just over 83 million. In the 23-24 school year, we're requesting 78 million. So you've decreased substantially over the last few years. And you've done that each year from 21-22 to 22-23 and 23-24. Each year the community has seen a decrease in their tax levy. The financial plan over.
Each year we're seeing a decrease. I don't know what that, thank you. Thank you. That's something that you don't see typically in communities. And so we just thank the Board of Education for their hard work and identifying ways in which they can deliver on their promise.
Okay, so overall, draft 2 of the budget shows a 12.3% budget-to-budget increase. You'll note that the school tax levy does decrease by $2 million, or 2.5% from the current school year. Our state and federal aid is going up 32.6%, or $24.5 million. Our appropriate reserves have been reduced by $1.6 million, and our all other revenues have increased by just under $700,000. Again, for a total budget-to-budget increase of 12.3. We have our instructional programs.
So I enjoy this part of the budget presentation because this is when we focus on our scholars. So community, there's something for you. And now let's talk about our scholars and the instructional initiatives. We're going to really ramp up professional development for math and literacy, which includes writing. We're already doing that work. We have programs in place. Ms. Barnett started this, and Ms. Antoinette Campbell picked up the baton, and we are ready to rock and roll and move. We're doing some fantastic work. In terms of professional development, we will be selecting our dedicated math program for the next school year, and we want to make sure that our teachers, our educators are well trained to implement the math program. So there will be a continued emphasis on math and literacy professional development. We are so proud of our journey with the International Baccalaureate program. Our school district, I know this has been a 20-year quest for the Westbury Union Free School District. Thanks to our director, Mr. Brendan Gallivan, we are now in candidacy status for a IB diploma program, which means that our scholars will have the opportunity to earn a global diploma, which means they can compete on a global scale. This is an amazing opportunity, and colleges look at this very heavily. We are preparing our 21st century scholars for 21st century experiences, and you know as well as I know, 21st century experiences mean global experiences. So I talked a little bit about What I Need program, the WINS program. We're so proud of that program. Currently, that program allows our scholars to really just take in what it is that they need on a Saturday. They come to school on Saturday. We have STEAM offerings. We offer debate. We offer financial literacy and theater works. I look forward to expanding that program in the new school year with hopefully an approved budget so that we can do that work. But we're looking forward to even adding more programs and starting earlier to give scholars what they need, building that 21st century scholar. We want to empower our library media specialists to support literacy initiatives. I know that we're looking at information literacy. Antoinette Campbell, who is here, who is our literacy chair, has already started that work, Dr. Dickerson, in looking at the New Jersey model, and we look forward to empowering. Remember that word I used early in the presentation, empowerment? We look forward to empowering our scholars with knowledge on how to dissect information and discern fact from fiction. We are bombarded with social media junk each and every day. We're building research skills for our scholars, and who knows what is to become of that. So we're super excited about supporting that literacy effort. So I talked about building that 21st century scholar. World languages, right? If you go to some of the most progressive countries in this world, scholars are literally speaking 3 to 4 languages. And while we have a large bilingual contingent here in this district here at Westbury, we'd like to also begin to explore introducing other languages, languages that will be the most spoken language in the world in the next 10 years. Again, preparing them for that global experience. We want to solidify teaching social studies at the elementary grades, giving that global experience, right? The only way you're going to have that global experience is teaching the social sciences, enjoying learning about other cultures and diversity. And that's something that we need to ramp up and strengthen at the elementary schools. We're going to continue to integrate SEL. SEL is an acronym for social emotional learning, but also integrating it through the content areas. It should never be a standalone. Anything in public education that's a standalone is a recipe to go in one ear and out the other. Students need to know that when you integrate areas such as SEL or literacy in math or literacy in social studies and science, they retain information much better. We're going to continue implementing our American Reading Company program, ARC. We're not going to move away from that. We know that when you implement a program, you need anywhere between 3 to 4 years for a full implementation. Next year will be implementation year number 2. But let me commend my teachers for doing a fantastic job at the elementary level for year 1. Professional learning communities. We've been doing a lot of work this year with the professional learning communities. We've done so much great work. That stays there. We've done so much great work with professional learning communities this year that I'm going to reveal this, Dr. Bloom, and I don't blame you, but I commend you and congratulate you for helping us to get to this point. We have the opportunity to be a PLC model school. Go ahead, Westbury. Didn't want to announce it, but the spirit moved me to. We have the opportunity to become that model school, and we hope that within this budget, we will have the resources in which to do so. I'm very proud of our district for year 1 of the PLC. Many of us attended the PLC conference. We've gained so much, and this is the year of just exploring and learning. Next year, we know that we're going to go full throttle with our implementation. You see our darlings in there, darlings, rock star performers getting prepared for The Little Mermaid, and I can't wait to see what the elementary school does this year. But you know, we believe that we have such talent in our school district that we can pull out even more from our students, where we're actually performing Broadway style performances. So we are looking to enlist a theater group to train our educators so that we can better implement the performing arts here at Westbury Union Free School District. So, go ahead. That's in the budget, guys. So, here's where I'm like super excited about. Among so many other things in this budget. New sports program. Today, I looked out of my window. No. While I was responding to emails and answering calls and everything else, I heard girls screaming. I'm like, what's going on out here? I heard girls screaming. Do you know why, Dr. Dickerson? Because they were playing flag football. Our girls were playing flag football, and they were rocking it out. But let me just tell you a little bit about our girls. Although they did not win their first game, they scored. They scored with only 2 weeks of practice. Dr. Bloom and I watched them practice with Todd Teeter. Teeter kids. Todd Teeter, 2 weeks ago, they're already playing, they're already scoring. And so I asked the coach today, I said, tell me a little bit about it. I know they lost. The coach said, but Dr. Chase, they got heart. They gained so much confidence. They were so excited. I just can't wait for the next game. We have girls flag football. We plan to bring lacrosse to our school district. We plan to bring fencing to our school district, among other things. What we did, and I think this is going to be in another slide, where it says targeted oversight, we realized that, hey, listen, Doric Capsis is an amazing athletic director, but he cannot do it all. There are things in which we envision for this district in years to come. Dance, so many other, intramural sports, interscholastic sports. And so we're going to need someone to help us with that oversight. So Doric Capsis will have a partner. We've already issued posting for a director for intramural sports, interscholastic sports and intramurals. And so we look forward to receiving applications. And I think I can say this publicly. To date, Dr. Bloom, how many applicants have we received in this? About 15 in that position, and we just posted it. Westbury is the place to be. Just know that. But so we definitely need oversight. And so in the budget, what we'd like to do is give someone that oversight. What you didn't hear was that the wrestling coaches said to me that Dr. Chase, we're actually starting a wrestling league at the elementary level. So these are the things, yeah, right? So give it up for that, right? These are the things that are happening in our school district, among other things, in starting some of these sporting programs at the elementary level, which is why I need to have direct, targeted oversight. Does that make sense to you all? Okay. So the other thing, too, that we're doing a little bit differently, and I just want to talk about this a little bit, and it sounds a little strange, but hear me out. In our school district, we have so many robust programs. And I know that as a former assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction, a former director for instruction, a former coordinator for reading, I've had all these jobs. But most of the times when I had these jobs, it was a K-12 focus. Now, if you know anything about the I know why you're laughing, Ms. Barnett, because you understand this, right? If you know anything about the certification and the licensure process, there's elementary and then there's content. And content is 7 through 12, which means there's a focus. But elementary is a little bit different. Elementary means you have a focus on different subject areas. And so what we know in this school district, with all of the implementations of all of these rigorous programs, these high-flying, what some people would call affluent programs, we're going to need targeted focus. We have a vacancy right now in our district for curriculum and instruction, K through 12. We've been having conversations with our school board about what pre-K will look like in the coming years. So I want us to think future forward, pre-K 12. Early childhood focus is far different from secondary focus. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. So we're going to split the position so that I can have a focus on just elementary and a different focus just on secondary. With that said, we're looking at an assistant superintendent for all things curriculum, pre-K through 5, and another focus, assistant superintendent for secondary, 6 through 12. That way, we can have a targeted focus on our instructional programs, and we can ensure that there is the proper oversight, and that we don't wear someone too thin, where they have so many different foci, where we kind of have things fall through the cracks. So, so I'm looking at targeted leadership instruction, oversight, excuse me, for our instructional programs. I think I said enough.
So overall, the instructional area increases just under $13 million. You'll notice that instruction increases about $4.9 million in salaries, and that's partly due to returning 9 staff members from one of our grants into the general fund because the grant ends. We also have, as Dr. Chase mentioned, a few new positions, the new assistant superintendent for curriculum instruction. We have our new director of interscholastic sports. We also have a new assistant superintendent for security that we're looking to. Well, it's an assistant to the superintendent, right? Assistant to the superintendent. Yes, and then we also have our normal contractual salary obligations. You'll notice in contractual, 3.7, a lot of that is what I have set aside for a high impact set aside. In the governor's budget, they had listed $2.3 million as a revenue source, stated high impact set aside. Because we did not know what that was and what it had to be used for, there's a specific line item in the detailed budget of the 2.3 until we get additional details from the state. If for some reason that funding doesn't come through, it's very easy for us to pull that out as well as pull out the revenue source. So that's really a placeholder for next year or until we get additional details from the governor. But overall, the instructional services goes up 12.8% or just under $13 million. Then we have support services of $8.6 million. And our support services really, we've increased funding for operations and maintenance. We want to add 2 additional custodial and maintenance position, and we're hoping to have that as a weekend position. We are also looking to allocate additional funds to support building improvements, and I believe it is $1.4 million that's in the facilities budget that will be allocated to the individual schools to do things such as flooring, replacing some ceiling tiles, remodeling bathrooms. We're also looking for increased funding for safety and security. We've added 3 additional security positions district-wide. We've also increased 6 of our 10-month security staff to 12-month staff. We've added additional funding for cameras. We're adding additional funding for new uniforms. Another area that we're focusing on is transportation. I'll have Mr. Popkins up in a moment, but we're looking to have a referendum to change walking distances for our students. We're looking to install a GPS bus card reader on all of our buses, and we're attempting to implement paperless timesheets, which will, I know, you hate signing all those. I think everybody does. Mr. Popkin?
So as Mr. Popkin comes to the front, there will be a proposition on the ballot. So if my memory serves correct, we'll have proposition 1, which is the budget, the overall bottom line budget is what we'll be voting on, and proposition 2 will be changing the walking distance proposition as it relates to transportation, which Mr. Popkin, Mr. James, the solution, Popkin is going to share with you now.
Thank you, Dr. Chase. Our current transportation eligibility criteria is as follows. Students up to grade 2 must reside at least 0.2 miles from school in order to qualify for transportation. In grades 3 through 6, students must reside at least 3/4 of a mile from school to qualify for busing. And students grade 7 through 12 must reside at least 1 mile from the school they attend to qualify for busing. Our school building grade levels are Dryden has the pre-K and the kindergarten, where our 3 elementary schools have 1st through 5th grade. Middle school is 6 through 8, and high school is grade 9 through 12. The current policy presents an issue because transportation eligibility may change for a student, although they remain at the same address and in the same school from the prior year. For example, under the current eligibility policy, a 2nd grade student may receive busing in 2nd grade, but is no longer eligible for busing in 3rd grade while still residing at the same address and attending the same school. The district's transportation department has done extensive analysis on our walker and rider distances and the number of students we're transporting. We recommend changes to the transportation eligibility criteria as follows. For pupils in kindergarten, we would like all kindergartners to be eligible for busing no matter where they reside. We're looking to have an eligibility criteria for grades 1 through 5 to be consistent because they are the students attending our elementary schools. And we're recommending students who reside at least a half a mile from the school they attend to qualify for transportation. For students in grades 6 through 10, we're recommending they live at least 1 mile or more from the school they attend to qualify for transportation. Proposition number 2 ensures that a student's eligibility would remain consistent for the entire duration while they are residing at a certain address and attending a particular school building. Thank you.
And I know Mr. Popkin has done a great job at analyzing that, and the estimated cost of that, if approved, is $105,000. And we do have that built into the budget, but it's $105,000. Thank you. So overall, the support services budget goes up $8.6 million or 11.7%. And again, you'll notice salaries increase, and that is due to the additional positions that we just spoke about, adding 5 new security and custodial staff, changing 6 security staff from full-time or from 10 months to 12 months, adding our contractual salary obligations. You'll also see equipment increasing, and the equipment really is, the majority of the equipment is going to our facilities department for cleaning equipment and to our security department for additional cameras and walkie-talkies throughout the district. The contractual items increased just over $4 million at 26%. And again, as we mentioned, the building improvements in the individual buildings is $1,475,000. You'll see that increase in the facilities department itself. We have contract transportation increases of $2.4 million, as well as liability insurance, legal services, utilities, and miscellaneous costs. But overall, the change from the current school year to the 23-24 school year is 8.6 or 11.7%. So the overall financial plan changes since draft 1. This is where I can't see this. Let me grab one moment. Let me grab my. So draft 1, we started out at 198.9 million. Our revenues, as we mentioned, the tax levy is decreasing by $2 million in this draft. We did have a decrease in state aid of about 1.1 million, and that's due to the governor and the state aid projections using a new February database. When they initially do the projections, it's an October or November database, and we did get a revision in. We were able to increase our pilots by 458,000, as well as miscellaneous revenues and reserves by 403, which brings our revenue budget to 196,700. with the expenses, we started out again at the 198.9. We had some retirement savings. We had staff that retire and we're planning on replacing of about 280,000. We've had contractual cost savings of about just under 500,000, as well as equipment reductions of 176,000. And this is all working with our building principals, our department leaders, and reviewing the budgets again on what they can and what they do and what they do need and what we could possibly move over to grant funding. We've had reductions in BOCES of 330,000, and that's really due to final rates coming in for BOCES that we were able to go look and reduce some of those expenses. You'll notice supplies decreases from draft 1 to draft 2 in about 460,000. That does not mean anybody's doing without supplies. That just means we're able to reallocate some of those to grant funding that we currently have. And the tuition decreases about 500,000 to bring the overall draft 2 budget again of 196.7. So as mentioned before, our tax levy decreases from 80.2 to 78.2, or 2.5%. Our state and federal aid increases by 24.5 million, or 32.6%. As mentioned before, our pilots are still increasing, 458,000, or 12.6%. Miscellaneous revenues are increasing 238,000, or 16.2%, and our appropriated reserves are decreasing 1.6, or 10.9%. But again, overall, our revenues change from year to year 21.6 million and increases 12.3%. And again, our expenses have to match. So overall, our expenses are going from 196.7 from 175 say 1, or a 12.3%. The general support increases 3.2 million, or 19.7%. Instruction increases 12.9, or just under 13%, or just under 13 million, or 12.8%. Pupil transportation increases 2.6 million, or 24%. Community services increases $750, or 13.6%. It's amazing that it's so high when it's only $750. Employee benefits are increasing 2.5, or 6.8%. You'll notice that our debt service has decreased by 221,000, or 4.2%, and that's due to changes in debt service and how the payments are set up for us. Interfund transfers have increased by 375,000, or 11.3%, and that really is adding additional funding to the interfund transfer line for capital to support additional projects within the district. Sure.
So what are our next steps? Obviously, we still wait to hear from our community. We also look forward to hearing from our Board of Education with further recommendations, further modifications to the budget. We ask our community members who are watching live stream, and of course those who are sitting here in the audience with us, first of all, we thank you for your attention and for your support, but there is an email address that you can actually send questions or just ask for clarification or make comments, recommendations, and that is budget@westburyschools.org, and we ask that you continue to check our website for detailed budget information. On April 4th, as the board president mentioned earlier, there will be a draft 3 of the budget. The intention is to adopt the budget, but if that does not happen, we will definitely keep you informed of where we are, but we do anticipate presenting a draft 3 to the community at the April 4th meeting. On May 2nd, there is a budget hearing, and on May 16th, there is a budget vote. And as I indicated, there will be a Proposition 2 of the transportation enhancement on the ballot as well. So ladies and gentlemen, community members, we thank you for your input. and for the time that you took to listen to our Draft 2 budget presentation, where we focused on being that village to raise a 21st century scholar. I hope that this presentation demonstrated our desire, our vision to work together so that we can build 21st century prepared scholars here at the Westbury School District. We also thank our Board of Education for spending countless hours. They don't get paid to do this work, but spending hours in giving recommendations, sending emails, asking clarifying questions, because when people meet them in the community, they're going to have questions and they need to be armed with information, and really helping us to devise this budget draft 2. Are there any questions or comments? Sir.
Thank you so much, and great job presenting this information. Earl Noble, 6 Fifth Street. I'm not sure if that's needed. I typically know it is. Under the academic initiative, I didn't see any information regarding music program. Do we have a jazz band, and should we consider including that in the budget? Also, with regards to the tax levy, what are some of the driving factors that's helping to reduce those numbers so greatly? Also, as we somewhat promote this within the community at our churches and place of worship, do we have any sell sheet, ad sheet that we can get so that we can make sure that we're communicating that as well? And okay, sure. I thought you were doing that already, but yeah, okay. Mental illnesses and stuff like that. Under services, I'm not sure if it was services on the building or was it services pertaining to some of those issues, mental illnesses and awareness that we're seeing so predominant now. Are there allocation in the budget for that?
Thank you, Mr. Noble, for your question. So I'm going to work backwards, if you don't mind. One of the things that we did talk about was integrating SEL. We have a robust approach to social emotional support in our school district. We work with Dr. Teresa Taylor Williams, who is nationally known for this work. We've launched identifying SEL coaches at every school who's doing the work in addressing some of the mental illnesses that exist not only in our school but also in our neighboring communities, so we can build ambassadors. That work will continue, and we did mention that in the budget, how it's going to be integrated into the work that we do every day, so it doesn't that it's not a standalone. Once the board adopts this, then we'll have the one-sheeter, the pamphlets, the brochure. There will be a budget newsletter so that you will have something in which you can hand out. We'll be working with our graphic designer. These are the people who have done all this amazing work in our school district with building the calendar, with the new design of the newsletter. We're going to ask that they design a simple elevator speech, one, like a card or something that highlights what the budget entails for the community so that you can help to share that information, and we appreciate your willingness to do that. You also asked about music, so you are 100% correct, and we're working with our music chairperson, Mr. Brad Johnson, to identify what do we want to see. We've already identified performing arts, but we also recognize that music in our school district does need some enhancements as well. So I appreciate your comments, and just know that I think we're on the same page. All right, Ms. O'Neill will answer the question about how in the world did we come up with this $2 million?
Okay, thank you. The driving factor is it's really the increase in state aid and the full foundation, the restoration of full foundation aid, and the board's commitment to return funds annually to the community.
Sure. Are there any other questions, comments, thoughts, ideas? Say something. Somebody, anybody.
Are there any questions in the chat room?
There are no questions in the chat room?
If I can just address Earl's question about the tax levy. I just want to thank you for noting that there is in fact a reduction in the tax levy. And although Dr. Chase and Ms. O'Neill went through that, Last year, at a budget presentation, Dr. Chase did that at least 3 times, noted that there was going to be a $2 million tax reduction last year as well. But some residents got confused because what they were focused on was the increase in expenses of that year. I think it was 5 or 6%. So this year, there's another increase in expenses of 12%, but there's still a reduction in the tax levy. So as you communicate with people, I would just ask you, don't let them be confused by that. The fact that there's an increase in expenses, there's going to be an increase in expenses when you get $20+ million in revenue that you want to spend. And so there's going to be an increase. But we're taking some portion of that money and using it to offset the taxes in this community. The state has recognized that communities throughout the state, but primarily communities like Westbury, have paid a higher tax rate than they really ought to be paying because the state wasn't providing enough aid. And so the residents of this community had to make up for that. When the state gave us additional foundation aid, they asked that we use some of that for education and some of it to reduce the tax burden. And that's what we're doing. And I want to be clear about what the board's commitment was. When the state said 3 years ago that they were going to be increasing the amount of foundation aid, they said they committed to doing that, phasing it in over a 3-year period. And so and what the board said was, if the state over that 3-year period keeps this commitment, that the board would then reduce taxes for each one of those 3 years. We've now reached the end of that 3-year period. And so that may mean the end of the board's commitment. We really don't know because we don't know if the state's going to continue that next year or not. But our commitment was for 3 years, and this is now the end of the 3rd year. Those of you who may not have seen her, but she is now approaching the dais, Trustee Wilson has joined us. She was here for at least part of the budget presentation, maybe even earlier than that. I'm not sure.
Once again, thank you all for your attention and for your patience.
So I don't have a report tonight, other than to apologize to, and I hope I don't mispronounce her name, Ms. Michelle Sitsoulas, who was granted tenure as a teaching assistant at Dryden Street School at the February 28th meeting, and I neglected, as I typically do, to single her out for attention and to recognize her as having won her tenure, and I felt very badly about that. So I don't know if she's listening in now or not, but if those of you know her or would communicate with her, and please, I apologize to her that night, but please extend my apologies once again and let her know that I tried to rectify that, although I know nothing could have been the same as having it been acknowledged that evening. But my apologies to Michelle and congratulations on her getting tenure. Dr. Chase, you have a superintendent's report?
Yes, and I hope that it will be brief. I think you guys have heard a lot from me this evening. I do want to clarify the way March 24th is exhibited in our district-wide calendar. That's the calendar with all those beautiful pictures. It says half day, but the intention of that was to identify half day for the middle school only. So I don't want families to think that it is a half day district-wide. You will get communication from me tomorrow, written communication. You'll get the email, text message, and possibly a phone blast, just letting you know that is for the middle school only, because there will be parent-teacher conferences beginning at 11:45 at the middle school. The other thing I wanted to share with you is those of us who are in the elementary world, you probably received a phone message from me last evening letting you know that we are prepared to launch our parent portal, which will allow you all a way to continue to connect to your child's data, but this time to do this electronically. It is working well at our secondary level, and now we're going to expand to our elementary. You're going to receive a memo from me in the next couple of days that provide very simple instructions. But please don't just rely on that. We're going to have an online video tutorial on how to set up your account, and we will also have an email hotline, if you will, where you can ask questions and get support as you need it. We are building 21st century opportunities in this district, and we're doing it with initiative by initiative. I also want to encourage this community to come out this weekend to see The Little Mermaid here at the high school. I had a chance to watch these scholars rehearse, and you know, they're really doing this from the heart, and it's absolutely beautiful to watch them perform. You know, they're building their oratory skills, they're building their confidence, right? They're doing so many amazing things, and there's so many other sub-skills that go into performing on stage before an audience. It's a skill set that many do not have. So, March 24th, March 25th at 7 p.m. Something. Oh, March 24th, March 25th at 7 p.m. Come on out. There are flyers around the school. If you'd like to purchase tickets, the flyer does have a QR code. We're 21st century in the school district. We use QR codes now for everything. So there is a QR code where you can purchase your ticket. If there are any issues with using the QR code, I'm going to ask Dr. Pellick, what do? We reach out to the high school? All right. And so, so Dr. Pellick, I don't have the cost for the tickets here. Can you just?
Well, the good news is children 10 will allocate their ticket.
Yep. Yes, that's awesome. Okay, $10. It sure is, especially, you know, if they're doing the Broadway version, right? So, awesome. Alrighty, so I just want to share one more thing. Part of my presentation was to include girls flag football, but I think I've already shared my excitement about that today. I just want to remind this community, and especially our those of us who are teachers and educators in the building, that Ramadan starts tomorrow evening, and it lasts for a month. And so I sent communication out today, just reminding folk that we have a considerable number of not just scholars, but also staff members who are practicing Muslims. And therefore, they're going to acknowledge Ramadan for the month. Why, Dr. Chase, are you mentioning this? I'm mentioning this simply because Ramadan requires those who practice to fast from sunup to sundown. And I know that some of our beautiful middle school scholars are on remote learning. They may be lethargic, they may be tired, they may be thirsty. Some kids may come to school that way, and some of our staff. So I want us to be mindful of that. And I also want us to be mindful that there are staff members or scholars who might want a private space to pray several times during the day. And I am so proud of our schools, because many of our schools, I think all, have made provisions for that, to allow scholars a safe space to practice for the month, as well as staff members. And I do know that there were assemblies already at some of our schools where we've educated children on why their friends might feel tired, why their friends may not partake in school lunch, why they may not play at recess, why they may have to get up to pray. And I think that we are a school district that's focused on diversity, and celebrating diversity is a 21st century skill. The world is big. And so we want children to understand, be able to respect, and celebrate the diverse ways in which people praise, the way people celebrate their rituals and celebrate customs. Therefore, I just want to remind the community that we are mindful of this, and I just want to make sure that our scholars and our staff needs are met during Ramadan. I thank everyone for their attention this evening and your patience with me. And I'm going to now pass the baton over to our Assistant Superintendent for Business if she has a report. Oh, whoa, wait a minute. I have one more thing. I apologize. I just want to provide the community with an update on our middle school. Forgot about, how can I forget that? What am I thinking? And you know why I forgot it? Because things are running so smoothly. that it's easy to forget. I got to give a shout out to the middle school. They are so amazing. And what all of you may have heard me say, give it up. What some of you may have heard me say in the past, we made the call around 5:30 in the morning. Within about 2 hours, those scholars were already online receiving instruction. We have a middle school staff member right here who can attest to that. That is what you call professionalism. It was done almost seamlessly. You know why? COVID prepared us for this. COVID prepared us for a time such as this. The middle school has not missed a beat. We're still providing spring sports for the scholars to try to give them some sense of normalcy. And I want to acknowledge our transportation and our food service provider for coming together to identify a way in which we could offer meals to every scholar, every single one of them. Parents at our meeting last week offered to volunteer. They came out to help pack buses and literally knock on the doors of students to give them meals. Each scholar was offered 5 days worth of meals. The meals included instructions for refrigeration and for heating. We don't have to do this at Westbury, but here's what we believe. In the words and the quote of Miss Robin Boland, Westbury love is real love. And those parents, those teachers, those custodians, those security officers, the brothers of the Masonic Temple came out to help deliver food to about 1,200 scholars. The solution came up with, James Popkin, came up with a schedule so that we even deliver to our walkers. They don't have to go out to the library. And I want to thank the library for opening up their home so that we can set up shop to deliver food. So I want Mr. Rob Stein to provide the community with an update on our middle school. Where are we?
Thank you, Dr. Chase. So as we're aware, there was a fire in the building on March 13th, and the fire started in the basement. And although quickly contained by the Westbury Fire Department, it took out the power and the fire alarm systems to the building. Smoke infiltrated most of the old building to varying degrees, sparing the new wing of the building. Belfour, the district's emergency remediation contractor, has been working double shifts with 50-person crews to clean and repair all damages. A significant amount of work has already been accomplished. As the areas of the building are cleaned, they are sealed off and protected. The district's insurance company has been on site to review conditions and has cooperated fully with the requests of the emergency remediation contractor. Much of the power to the building has been restored, with only portions of the building remaining on emergency generator power. The insurance company is still trying to determine the cause of the fire and will have investigators on site again towards the end of this week. Once the cause of the fire is determined, the room of origin, where the fire began, which is a hub to the primary electrical cables and fire alarm cables, will be able to be remediated, allowing further progress. EnviroScience, the district's environmental consultant, has been on site testing and clearing non-affected areas of the building. As progress is made, testing will be done in other areas of the building to ensure safe conditions. Progress in the building is being assessed daily and weekly, and we'll keep you posted as progress continues.
Big time, and I want to thank our custodians at the middle school for just all of their hard work, our food service employees, just, you know, our security team, our clerical, our educators, our administrators, everyone just, you know, working collaboratively for the betterment of our school district and for the middle school. So the question is, well, Dr. Chase, when are they going back? We don't have a definitive response. And what we're doing is we're taking this on a week-by-week basis. But as I said last week in the parent group, we are committed to opening school when we believe the school is absolutely ready to receive our scholars. We don't want to miss the opportunity to get it right. We don't want to have our scholars to go on remote learning because we skipped a beat or we cut corners. It's important that we get it right for the health and safety of everyone in our school district. I think I took Ms. O'Neill's report, by talking about the middle school. Do you have anything? Okay. And Dr. Bloom does not have a report this evening because I think I took some of his report. So I apologize, guys. That concludes my report this evening. Thank you.
You always said it was an operator problem, right? Before we move to the section of the agenda where we welcome comments and questions from community members, both here in the Little Theater and also online, I just want to say thank you to the administration, Dr. Chase, Ms. O'Neill, Dr. Bloom, and all the administrators and everybody else that contributed to the development of the budget and to tonight's presentation. I know that it's quite an extensive process to do as much as we're trying to do this year, to increase the instructional program by $13 million, to increase support services by $8 million, and still fit in a $2 million tax reduction takes quite a bit of work. And so I just want to thank everybody that's been involved for that, and look forward to the continued development of the budget over the next couple of weeks. Thank you. Does anybody that's here now in the Little Theater have a question about either tonight's agenda or anything impacting the school district, or even just a comment? Seeing no one, does anybody have a question in the chat room? Okay, good. All right, I am going in a moment to move that we block vote the entire agenda, with the exception of item 13G, which I will call for a motion to table that. But before we do anything, I want to read the policy that's cited in 11A. Board policy requires that any change or addition to our policies get 2 readings. The first reading took place at the meeting on March 14th. Tonight will be the second reading, and 11A will be included in the block vote when we get to that. I am going to read the policy, and I want to let you know it is scintillating verbiage, so just bear with me. By the way, while same school, and his and whether or not he got a bus or not would change. And so thank you for putting that together. And also, this is something that's been considered in the past by the district, but there was always a cost, and I don't remember the exact figures, there was always a cost to doing that of much greater than $105,000. So solution, I don't know how you did that, but I just want to acknowledge that and thank you for that. The second reading of the policy, 11A, cited in 11A. The transfer of funds between and within functional unit appropriations, I told you this was scintillating stuff, of the general fund is commonly required during the school year. The superintendent of schools designates the assistant superintendent of finance and operations to make budget transfers within the same ST3 code. And the assistant superintendent of finance and operations must submit written monthly reports to the superintendent of schools regarding all budget transfers. The superintendent of schools, in accordance with the regulations of the Commissioner of Education, is authorized to make budget transfers between line item accounts so long as the transfer for any one item does not exceed $30,000. It's currently $10,000. The change here, the operative change here, is increasing it from $10,000 to $30,000. All transfers between line item accounts in excess of $30,000 require prior Board of Education approval. The superintendent will report all transfers to the Board of Education as an information item on a monthly basis. Are there any questions about that? Are there any questions in the chat room? Okay, seeing none, we can now move to the approval of tonight's voting items. Before I ask for a block vote on the entire agenda, I'd like to move out of order, and I'd like to have a motion to move item 13G out of order and be considered initially. Item 13G, I will be calling for us to table that. And the reason for that is that it has to do with an application to make use of one of our buildings. That building is, as it happens, the cafeteria of the middle school, which, as you've heard, likely will not be available on the date when they would like to use it. And so we are going to be moving that more than likely to the high school, but the exact dates are not certain yet. So we need to table this item until there is more certainty about the dates and the location. So can I have a motion to vote? Can I do this at one time, Attorney Gomez? Can I have a motion? Can I make a motion to take item 13G out of order and to also table at the same time? Would you like to do two separate motions?
President Troiano, we only need one motion, so a motion to table item 13G.
Okay. So can I have a motion to table item 13G?
So moved.
It's been moved by Dr. Dickerson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Quintanilla. Ayes. Trustee Quintanilla?
Aye.
Trustee Wilson?
Aye.
Trustee Dickerson?
Aye.
Trustee Keynes?
Aye.
Trustee Bowling?
Aye.
Vice President Ewing?
Aye.
And I, Robert Troiano, vote aye. Motion carries unanimously. May I now have a motion to block vote the entire agenda with the exception of the item that was tabled, 13G?
So moved.
It's been moved by Vice President Ewing. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Wilson. Ayes. Trustee Quintanilla?
Aye.
Trustee Wilson?
Aye.
Trustee Dickerson?
Aye.
Trustee Keynes?
Aye.
Trustee Bowling?
Aye.
Vice President Ewing?
Aye.
And I, Robert Troiano, vote aye. Motion carries unanimously. We have approval to block vote those items. I'm now going to entertain a motion to approve all the items that were previously approved for a block vote. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Been moved by Dr. Dickerson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Bowling. It's been moved and seconded. Ayes. Trustee Quintanilla.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Dickerson.
Aye.
Trustee Keynes.
Aye.
Trustee Bowling.
Aye.
Vice President Ewing.
Aye.
And I, Robert Troiano, vote aye. Those items are approved. We are done voting on tonight's agenda items. I'm now. Sorry? Are they here?
So I just want to thank the board for accepting our recommendation to hire new members to the Westbury Union Free School District family. Is Magalina Torres here? Welcome, Magalina. Is our new teaching assistant, special education for our high school. Welcome to the family. Is Juan Lopez here? Okay. Juan Lopez will be a cleaner. He was here. Okay. I think I talked too much and that scared him away. Juan Lopez will be a cleaner at Powell's Lane Elementary School, and although he left, we welcome him to the family. Is Jeanette here? I hope did I mispronounce your name? Jeanette. Is Jeanette here? Jeanette, please stand up to be recognized. Jeanette will be a teacher aide at Westbury Middle School. Welcome to the family, Jeanette. I know someone said they're unable to attend, but I'm not really sure if Ashley Fernan is watching. Ashley, welcome to the family. Ashley is hired as a leave replacement speech teacher at Dryden Street and Park Avenue schools. Welcome, Ashley.
That's it. Thank you. I'm now going to. Thank you. So you may not be able to see that, but the IT department, if you will, were waving feverishly at me to tell me that my mic wasn't on. I was saying that I'm going to ask for a motion now to go in executive session to discuss items affecting negotiations. I anticipate there will be an executive session no later than 11 o'clock, and hopefully earlier than that. When we come out of executive session, there will be no votes other than to vote to come out of executive session and to vote to adjourn for the evening. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Been moved by Dr. Dickerson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Keynes. Ayes. Trustee Quintanilla?
Aye.
Trustee Wilson?
Aye.
Trustee Dickerson?
Aye.
Trustee Keynes?
Aye.
Trustee Bowling?
Aye.
Vice President Ewing?
Aye.
And I, Robert Troiano, vote aye. Motion carries unanimously. We are in executive session. Congratulations to all the new hires. Happy to have you join the team.
Good night. Good night.
ready? Good evening again, everybody. We are now coming out of executive session. I have a motion to come out of executive.
So moved.
Been moved by trustee Wilson. We have a second. Trustee Keynes?
Second.
Thank you. Ayes, trustee Quintanilla?
Aye.
Trustee Wilson?
Aye.
Trustee Dickerson?
Aye.
Trustee Keynes?
Aye.
Trustee Bowling?
Aye.
Vice President Ewing?
Aye.
And I, Robert Troiano, vote aye. Motion to adjourn. Moved by trustee Bowling.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Quintanilla. Ayes, trustee Quintanilla?
Aye.
Trustee Wilson?
Aye.
Trustee Dickerson?
Aye.
Trustee Keynes?
Aye.
Trustee Bowling?
Aye.
Vice President Ewing?
Aye.
Robert Troiano votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned. Good night, everybody.
Good night.